Welcome back. Thousands of Americans die every year from opioid drug abuse. Here at 4029, we're digging into the nationwide opioid epidemic as part of our State of Addiction series. The Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, is working to prevent the spread of the opioid epidemic across the country and right here in Arkansas. And 4029's Daniel Armbruster talks with a new agent in town in this week's Sunday Sit Down to discuss how they're stopping the supply of drugs from coming here.
Well, there's a new DEA agent in town, and one of the reasons that he's here is to prevent the opioid epidemic that's sweeping the nation from becoming a bigger problem right here at home. Joining us now to talk more about that, resident agent in charge, Tim Jones. Thank you so much for being here, sir. We appreciate it. And you know, we've been talking about state of addiction, the opioid crisis. What is the supply chain, and how do people get these drugs into our area, whether it be from other countries or maybe even from doctors or wherever that comes from?
Well, when you're talking about the supply dealing with the opioid or prescription pills and so forth, more than half the time the supply is coming out of mom and dad's cabinet, medicine cabinet. Sometimes the situation is where you have people been very sick, very ill, and when they pass, their medicine's left behind. So it's unfortunate, but there are these people, these, as I call them, drug dealing predators out there. They're searching, finding if someone's passed away, they'll break in and steal their medicines and then try to sell them on the street. That's why the take back is so important. And those take backs that we've been seeing in our area, that's where people bring their old prescription drugs and drop them off. And do you think that those are helpful in preventing the further abuse of the drugs? Well, in Northwest Arkansas, just this past Saturday, our totals was 5,918 pounds of pills taken back just in Northwest Arkansas. For the state of Arkansas, I believe we're over 30,000 pounds for the take back. So that's a lot of pills that are not now out there being abused and sold and possibly killing someone.
You were saying that the system is getting better. Where are the problems in the system, and where do you come in to try to help improve those problems in preventing people from getting a hold of these drugs that shouldn't have them?
Well, one of the issues that does happen is you have people who go out and they doctor shop. They're trying to find whatever doctor will give them as many pills as possible. But the doctors have systems set in place where they can identify when someone's abusing this, and they're quick to end that, and usually they'll notify us right away. If they can, of course, with patient-client privilege and so forth. But the situation is usually remedied by the doctors, but if it does get past that, that's when we get involved and we find someone who's abusing the system and going out there and selling these drugs, and we get active. And then occasionally, if we do find a doctor who's not doing it right or so forth, we have systems in place to go after those gentlemen as well, or ladies. Would you say it's a problem in Northwest Arkansas, River Valley area, as I know we've seen big problems in Florida, Ohio, and other places? Coming from Florida, we don't have near the problem that they've had there. And because I did come from there and spent the majority of my career there, my hopes and goals is to, while I'm here, doing everything I can to prevent it from being the way it is in Florida. And what do you do moving forward? Obviously, the take-back programs, what else can you do, or what can citizens do to make sure that this doesn't become a bigger problem here at home? The best thing citizens can do, I believe, is kind of the saying when we're dealing with terrorism: if you see something, say something. And if you see something in your community, see something in your family, see something in the neighborhood that's just not right, pick up the phone and let us know. Our eyes can't be everywhere. I wish we could, but they're just not. So if you see something, say something. And if you notice things about family members that you feel like they need help, then do everything you can to get them the help. I mean, this touches everybody. It's in my family. I've got family members who've had to deal with this as well. All right. Well, 1 month here in Fayetteville, and we welcome you to Northwest Arkansas, sir, and thank you so much for coming on and talking about this important topic. Thank you. Resident Agent in Charge, Tim Jones, thank you. And to learn more about the opioid epidemic, you can click on the State of Addiction link at 4029tv.com. For Sunday Sit Down, I'm Daniel Armbruster.